Rainbow Six Extraction. It honestly sounds like a Call of Duty Easter egg, except it's not. It's a video game, and worse, you're its customer. From day one of its release, it received nothing but negative backlash, not just from the Siege community, but from the gaming community.
Look how they massacred my boy.
And well, you can't really blame the reviewers, as for this game's entire being was forged from a game mode. Except now, it's now locked behind a $40 price tag. Great deal right there. Do you want to know what you're going to be getting for $40? Get this, the same operators from Rainbow Six Siege, same weapons, same reload animations. The only things new are the enemy types and the new maps. That's it. A great portion of this game is just reused assets from Rainbow Six Siege. And it really makes you wonder, why couldn't this be a game mode for Siege? But here's the serious question, was the game at least fun? Did it age like milk or fine wine? You can have your own opinions on this, but I think my queue timer speaks volumes.
Oh my goodness!
In this video, I decided to label each point I made by one word symbolizing why Rainbow Six Extraction never saw the light of day. So please join me as I break down everything that is bad about this game. Number 1. Marketing. At the very beginning of Extraction, it received a lot of negative backlash, but not when the game released, but instead when the very first trailer released. And to be honest, there was nothing really wrong with the trailer. We got to see the operators we grew to love revise their roles in a zombie apocalypse.
Down. Again. You see that in the movies? That's an automatic. Don't bother trying to dampen the recoil. You do that with a revolver.
We got to see the infected come back in a different form, and most importantly, we got to see new maps that we get to play on. This was everything the Siege community wanted. The problem with it is that they were marketing it as a separate game. 3 problems occurred when they announced this, one of them being is that it divided the Siege community from day one. If you're not aware, Extraction is the inspiration from Rainbow Six Siege's DLC called Operation Chimera, also known as Outbreak. This was an unexpected masterpiece. Instead of getting 1 new attacker, 1 new defender, we got 2 new attackers, 3 new maps to play on, and on top of that, a completely different enemy AI type we never seen before. But it also begged the question, what would happen if we took Siege's core formula and implemented it into a zombie mode? The outcome? You get Outbreak. The problem with it was that it was not a permanent game mode, but instead marked as a special event. It only lasted for 40 days, a month and a half. Ever since then, the Siege community has been begging to bring it back. And most likely we'll probably never see it in Siege, as Ubisoft has finally given up on supporting PvE servers. Hey, does anybody remember Terrorist Hunt? Well, guess what? That's gone. You want to know why? Because most of the community plays PvP rather than PvE. Maybe because they haven't given us a good reason to play on PvE servers. So with Extraction forcing everybody to play only PvE, this now made everybody anxious, as some people wanted to just hop over from PvP to PvE or the other way around. But now, since you have to pay $40 just to play PvE only, there's now people wonder if Siege would be better than Extraction. The second problem is that they changed the game mode and type, meaning they now changed their marketing targets. Rainbow Six Siege was a tactical PvP first-person shooter. Rainbow Six Extraction is a tactical PvE zombies type shooter. This now means, as Rainbow Six Siege was always contesting with games like CSGO, Bodycam, and Call of Duty, this now means that Rainbow Six Extraction is now competing with games like Dying Light, Project Zomboid, and the most iconic zombie game out there, Left 4 Dead 2. Comparing the game to Left 4 Dead 2, it doesn't stand a chance. Left 4 Dead 2 has a PvP mode, it has more game modes, a workshop meaning more replay value, and on top of that, the characters that we play as are more enjoyable than Extraction. Also worth mentioning that the pricing is erratically different from Extraction. $40 for Extraction, $10 for Left 4 Dead 2, it just doesn't stand a chance. The marketing is really bad. Oh, not to mention there's more people playing Left 4 Dead 2 than Extraction. And the final reason is that it will always be in Rainbow Six Siege's shadow. Despite Ubisoft's poor management in Siege right now, you have to admit there's more replay value in that than R6 Extraction, mainly because most of the players are no longer present in that game. These 3 points are the reason why people are not buying this game. There's barely any players left, barely any new content, and on top of that, Siege is still the best-selling game right now. It's more than enough reason to not put money in this game. Speaking about more, number 2, content. If you've been watching the gameplay at this point, you probably understand that a large portion of this game has been copy and pasted from Rainbow Six Siege. This is the same operator, this is the same gun, this is the same reload animation. Jesus, this is the same reload animation. Have we become that lazy that we're starting to reuse reload animations? However, I will give credit where credit is due. There is some new gadgets in here, like a sentry gun, glue grenades, scan mines. They even have react lasers, so there's definitely something you can work with. But here's my question. Why isn't there no new operator? And I'm not talking about operators like Echo that was brought in here later on. I'm talking about new operators that haven't been brought over from Siege. Here's the answer. That will be too much work.
Look like a guy who's not lazy.
Another thing that bothers me about this game is that there's some operators from Siege that haven't been carried over to Extraction. Where's Kapkan? You brought him inside Outbreak, but for some reason he's not here in Extraction. Why is that? Why isn't Lesion here? I'm pretty sure his goo mines would be a great use to slow down the enemy. Where's Ying with her Candelas? We need as many stuns as we can to push back the hordes. But most importantly, why hasn't Tachanka received his rework? I will admit, it's extremely fun to play as him again. I really miss this turret.
LMG, mount and load it! Get down, get low! On your speed! Stay with me, blood! Get serious! On your speed! Second floor! Fourth floor! LMG, mount and load it! Get down, get low! On your speed! Stay with me, blood! Get
But if anything we learned from Siege is that being stationary is not a good idea. Not to mention there's only 2 defense missions in this game. I can see a few more operators fitting perfectly in this game, but unfortunately Ubisoft doesn't want to experiment in that because Ubisoft does not want to spend time or effort on this game. 10 months ago, they have announced that they're no longer going to be working on Rainbow Six Extraction, but they will support it in bug fixes. So what you're looking at on screen, this is all the content that you'll ever be getting for Extraction. And to add a greater insult, there's also an item shop. Okay, let's be real. It's already a bad idea to put $40 into this game. But furthering more money into the item shop is incredibly stupid. You're just gonna be seeing your hands, that's all. And who's gonna be around to see your cool looking skins? There's barely anybody playing this game right now. And there's also the matter of fact that is, if you get past the queue time. Look, you're not supposed to tell people how to spend their money, but please don't put any money into the item shop. Go ahead and buy this game, give it a try if you like it, okay? But don't put any money into that shop. Despite all the negative stuff I said about the content, there's something positive I actually do believe in. It has the possibility of transferring over to Siege. I can definitely see scan mines, glue grenades, and sentry guns working in Siege. It's just Ubisoft hasn't taken the time to add them in for whatever reason. And saying that out loud is very sad, as for these items can bring so much fun and joy to the player base over at Siege, but it'll never see the light of day because Ubisoft doesn't care about putting in time or effort. Body armor, proximity recon drones, vapor grenades, even 12 new maps will never be released from this game and will forever be unappreciated because there is nobody around to enjoy it. Nobody except me. And you know what, this brings me to my next point, the maps. I will admit these maps are somewhat decent. I don't think they're the best in the world, but I do believe it functions well in the gameplay. There's a lot of open space allowing you to duel it out with some of the biggest baddies out there, and on top of that, there's enough wiggle room for you to backtrack, avoiding to get swiped. Every doorway, or most of the doorways, are now occupied by reactors. What these are metal doors that can only be functioned through switches you find right next to them. They're extremely useful for delaying the enemy's attack, and most importantly, to box them in a room. But here's the problems I have with the map design. Most of the time I'd be spending my time on the second floor because it gives me a clear view of the entire area, but sometimes the enemy is directly below me. The problem with the maps is that they no longer have soft floors. These are wooden tiles that are laid on the floor that allow you to expose them to kill people below, but now they're not in this game. There are hatches that allow you to move from the second floor to the first floor, but the problem with them is that most of them are located right next to cliff edges where you can just jump off the edge instead of having to open it up. It feels like they added hatches in here just to say we have another way of traversal, but didn't commit to the idea of it. I must agree, I do love wandering around checking out every corridor of the map as you discovered the origin and what happened when the parasite occurred. I think those are the two problems with the maps, but they're not the worst. But my question is, why can't we have this in Siege? I know I keep saying that a lot, but it's true. Why couldn't we have this in Rainbow Six Siege? I could see some parts of Monolith Garden and Police Station working perfectly in casual. I'm not too sure about rank, but definitely casual. It's been almost 5 years since we've been receiving reworked maps since Operation Phantom Sight, and ever since, the community has been begging for new maps. But for some reason, Ubisoft doesn't want to bring these maps into Siege. So as of right now, 12 new maps that have been produced here will forever lie dormant, collecting dust. And once again, it's sad to say that because I believe there's a lot of potential in these maps. Number 4, gameplay. I will admit I had a lot of fun with the gameplay. It definitely brought back that same feeling I had in Outbreak 6 years ago. And if you don't believe I didn't play Outbreak, you should take a good look at my gun as I have a chibi that signifies it. There's definitely a lot of intense moments followed up with some stealth operations that I love playing with a team. If only I can get past the you know. Despite the enemy types being annoying from time to time, I gotta admit they're actually fun to engage with. Tormentors are capable of taking a significant amount of your health, but their attacks are very slow as you can easily dodge them. Breachers are great when you're having to deal with large hordes or trying to get through a wall as they destroy everything around them. When you encounter a Smasher, it kinda feels like a boss fight. Back then, there was no way to stun them. You basically had to get them to run into a wall so you can put a knife in them. But now, there's so many stuns in this game that it's pretty easy to insta-kill them with one knife. So, it doesn't feel like a boss fight. I think what gets me is the enemy designs. They're not bad, it's just, I prefer Outbreak enemies more than this. The designs are cool and all, it's just, they feel like they're aliens more than people that are infected. And that's how this game began. You see them wandering around the streets, holding their hands, looking confused, and most importantly, they stay in their human-y state. But once alerted, all these spikes start contracting from their bodies, and that's when they initiate combat. The disturbing part about it is that you can see the last bit of human in them. You can hear them screaming off in the distance, mumbling, whispering. It's like they're trying to remember who they are. Not to mention the designs fit the aesthetic of the country. And for your information, I'm not trying to be racist. Not everybody in Mexico wears tank tops and jeans. But in my mind, I expect they all wear, Who
wants a taco? Yeah, I know! Tacos, we're going crazy.
Again, not trying to be racist. The reason why I bring this up is because this is what made Outbreak and Left 4 Dead 2 comparable. They both had zombie types that tell the story of their level design. Extraction's Archeans don't have any of that. They truly feel like aliens. And well, yes, all of this did start off from a meteorite falling from the sky, but to be honest, they never started off as humanoid figures. It was always an infection. That's my personal issue, but here are the real issues with the gameplay. So, the first thing I noticed is you can't have permanent health anymore, but instead boost your health. It's designed like this because the developers want you to be extremely careful, as for these guys do more damage than the ones in Outbreak. It doesn't matter if you're 1 armor, 3 armor, or if you equip body armor as your crisis attachment, you are always going to lose at least 18 health points by just 1 swipe from the regular grunts. If your operator reaches 30 or below, then that means that they are benched, which means that you have to play a different operator in order to get more points so that they can rack up more health for that operator to return to the combat zone. What this results to is 2 things. One of them being is to always play as Rook, Doc, and Finka, as they give you health and armor so you can avoid that situation. And another one is that everybody plays the game in stealth only. Nobody wants to lose their operator, as it makes progression in the game very slow. And that makes matters worse is that it takes away progression in your milestone if your operator dies in the combat zone. I hate this because they put the most useful item, the React Laser, all the way up at level 25, and they knew they'd do this because the grind would be so long. So when I lose an operator in a combat zone, it just plagues on my paranoia, as I now have to deal with this. And another reason why people hate losing their operator in a combat zone is because it now takes up a mission slot. You now have 2 regular missions, while 1 mission is to retrieve your operator. You still get points, it's just I want to play the game with all 3 missions so I can experience the full length of it. And speaking about the missions, they also suck. They don't have no character around it. All 8 or 9 of these missions are put on repeat. It doesn't matter if you go from New York all the way to Alaska or Mexico. It doesn't matter what difficulty you're on. They're always being put on repeat on every level. This gives the level designs no character to them. Not to mention that I'm tired of playing tracking nests and plugging up nest holes. Just please, can we create new missions so I don't have to run into this 90% of the time? And well, I don't know if this is new or not, there's a new mission they recently released called the Nucleus. This is basically an orb you have to carry from point A to point B. The problem is, it sucks. It covers up your entire screen, greatly reduces your movement speed, and alerts everything around you. I lost like 7 operators because of this mission, and I only completed it once, and I got lucky. It's that bad. The only mission I haven't ran into much is the boss fight, releasing the Singularity. And to be honest, it doesn't feel like a boss fight. As for the boss, it's literally a Siege character design. It's like playing on that Doctor's Cursed event on Siege. It just feels so copy and pasted. But can somebody please tell me why we're not allowed to pause the game in a solo mode? What?
What is going on?
It's League of Legends all over again. They don't care if you got social responsibilities. They want you to pour all of your time into extraction. And to greatly prove my point, you will be penalized if you keep leaving your games. This is casual mode, not rank. Just let me live my life. If you're so annoyed with people leaving matches, then just create a system where people can join mid-game. You have that in Siege, why can't you put that in Extraction? And you know what, I think this is the reason why the queue times are so long, because you're not allowed to join mid-game. No wonder there's not that many people here, because there's so many basic things that we managed to accomplish in other games that aren't present here. I will end this section off with one more claim. Most of your missions will be completed through stealth. I'm not talking about doing the main objectives, I'm talking about just wandering around the map, clearing area by area. It will mostly be done by stealth, and there's a way to do it without a suppressor. In order for the Archeans to commence a swarm, they have to first spot you, and then it will begin a 4-second timer until they alert the nests. Once the nests are alerted, they can be able to start sending in swarms, and they'll keep doing it until you kill it. The thing about it is that they have to spot you, and then they have to begin the 4-second timer. I should have mentioned this when I was talking about the maps, but in every corridor, there's always a wall or something that is obstructing their view. So in reality, what you can do is that you can grab a shotgun or LMG, zip right through the level designs, and clear all of them one by one. They will hear the gunshots, but that doesn't matter. They still have to begin their 4-second cooldown. So at the end of the day, most of your missions will be done through stealth. It gets temperamental when you're going up against the harder hitters, but luckily this game offered a device that literally obsoletes most of the items. Aura grenades. These grenades mark everything that's around you and completely obstructs the vision of every enemy. In other words, it's literally a smoke, stun, and scan grenade combined in one. Congratulations, you made all 3 of those items obsolete. Once again, you can run through all these levels through stealth. Now, I'm not saying that you won't be fighting off hordes. I definitely run into some moments like that. But what I'm saying is most of my experience has been done through that because people don't want to sneak around wasting time. Despite all the negative stuff I just said about the gameplay, although it doesn't greatly affect it, I definitely had a lot of fun playing through it, but I am saying that it definitely needs some retweaking. But we're never going to get that, because once again, Ubisoft decided to give up on this game. Number 5, timeline. This probably wouldn't matter to most people, but it definitely matters to me, so I'll be quick with this section. All of this began because a meteorite or a USSR space pod fell from the sky and landed in Mexico, infecting everybody around it. When Team Rainbow found out about this, they wanted 2 goals, or have 2 ideals. One of them being is how to cure this infection, but the second ideal was to nuke all of Mexico. The 3 missions you get to play in Outbreak was to fight back the ideal of nuking all of Mexico. But now look at Extraction. Now the infection has made it to New York, San Francisco, Alaska, and what do you know, it's still prospering in Mexico. This undercuts 2 missions in Outbreak. You have to extract the doctor that knew how to cure it, and you have to extract the origins of the infection. But all of that means nothing. We should have just nuked Mexico to begin with. If we would have done that, then we would have never received Extraction. And if we would have never received Extraction, then I wouldn't have put $40 into this game. Number 6. Funeral. Well, I can confidently say this, is that Extraction is dead. It was always a corpse that was being puppeteered by Ubisoft. OGs like me who played Outbreak have their dreams crushed due to Ubisoft's greed. We'll never see this game mode again, as for Ubisoft believes there's nothing they could invest in PvE. And for clarification, like I said in my other Rainbow Six Siege video, this game was made by a separate team of Ubisoft, the old one. This new one is the ones that created Extraction, so if anybody should be clowned on, it should be this new team. Rainbow Six Extraction will be the final nail in the coffin as the greatest manipulation in all of Ubisoft history. As for all 5 of these points are the main reason why this game failed in the first place, but when you take away 4 of these, it truly comes back to marketing. I do believe this game could have survived having it been marketed the way it was. The game is fun, but it's not worth $40. My only hope for people that do wish or have already purchased it could find some use out of their money's worth. Assuming you can ever get past the queue timer.